Hi everyone, welcome back to The Learning Gardener. If you haven't been here before, my name is Pip. Today we are just pottering around the garden on an unseasonably warm day, just trying to get what we can done. Now, there are a huge number of tasks that we need to do in the garden, but there are a lot of them that I am actually waiting until my mum soaks my clothes in pyrethrum because we have had a horrible tick season so far, and I had 4 bites in less than 3 weeks. One of them was quite bad and in my head, and my head was really swollen. I'm actually allergic to tick saliva, and because I've had thyroid cancer before and had a lot of lymph nodes in my neck removed, I have a compromised ability to clear out the toxins. And so I have been feeling absolutely rubbish for a week. I've also had a bit of a cold, but I don't know if that's just because of the residual tick toxin. So we're just doing what we can, and we are staying away from certain jobs until my clothes are covered in repellent because I can't do any more tick bites. And I mean, I think a lot of them are coming from the chicken run, but I can't avoid the chickens. But I'm just not going to put myself at any additional risk. So videos might be a little bit patchy for a little while, just while I try and get over the tick toxin in my body and this cold. But this garden bed I've been needing to deal with for a while. There are actually a couple beds like this where they're half finished or all the way finished, and I just need to get in and plant up. And I had really planned in advance and planted a whole bunch of seeds for this moment, and unfortunately the seeds drowned in all the rain. So one of the other things I have to do is fix the position of a lot of my oyas, which are these watering pots. As it turned out, in this bed, I couldn't get this one any deeper because that was at the max depth of the bed. So I just put it back in, and we added some more mushroom compost before we planted up. I am putting in stakes because I have planned to plant some zucchini in this bed, and I like to stake my zucchinis because I cut off the lower branches. Otherwise, we get really bad powdery mildew on the zucchini. Now, these are nursery bought zucchini. I have tried starting zucchini about 3 times this season already, and every single time the seeds have got drowned in the rain, either because the rain was much heavier than predicted and I wasn't at home to rescue the seeds, or because there was an unpredicted rainstorm overnight, or just because we had bad luck. So I think finally one of the seeds has germinated, but it's taken about 6 weeks of it just sitting there doing nothing. But I just want to get some zucchinis in the ground. Sometimes I find zucchinis burn out really, really quickly here. So I figured I will start another batch of zucchinis, but at least in the meantime, these ones can get going because it's the end of the first month of spring, and I just don't want to be starting zucchinis in summer. They really need to get going. Our cool season crops have been hanging on a lot longer than they normally do, but all of a sudden everything is pretty much ready to come out all at once, which is kind of annoying because then I have to deal with it all at once. And as I said, most of my seeds aren't ready. These are some onion seedlings that I don't know why they've been sitting on the deck for so long, but they have. They had started to bulb slightly, so who knows if these will actually work out. But I thought they're pretty much the only thing that I have ready that I can kind of underplant the zucchini with and potentially have it be useful. So I thought I would pop them in as well. And the leeks on the other side are not quite ready. They need a little bit longer. This area does get a little bit shielded by the climbing roses here, and so sometimes things are growing a little bit slower than they used to in this bed now that the climbing rose is more developed. And we've had to spend this hot day outside even though I wasn't really feeling like it because I took the puppies to the beach for the first time in a long time, and you would have seen that if you were follow us on Instagram at The Learning Gardener. And Rafi had a little bit too much fun because he likes to wave ride, and he was vomiting up seawater when we got home. So we had to keep him outside and keep an eye on him just to make sure we didn't need to do a Saturday morning rush to the vet. But at least that sort of motivated me to get some jobs done while we were outside, even if we just potted slowly through these jobs. When I was at the nursery, I also picked up some more white echinacea, We had one white echinacea in one of the garden beds last year, and it was my absolute favorite. I couldn't believe how much I was in love with this plant, and so I picked up a couple more, and we're going to scatter them throughout the garden. I picked up, I think, 3, and I was thinking about doing a clump planting in the landscape, and then I remembered there's not that much available landscape left. So they'll have to go in the garden beds, and hopefully they will just become a beautiful plant that does well in the corners, because the corners tend to be quite dry, and yeah, it'll just look beautiful at the front of the garden bed. I also popped in another pyrethrum. You guys know, if you've watched these videos lately, that I've been planting a lot of pyrethrum around, both because it's finally back in stock at the nursery and because I've had a terrible time trying to get them to grow from seed. And I'm really hoping that the dogs and myself will brush up against these if they're on the edge of the garden beds in particular areas, and we will hopefully get the benefits of tick protection. I also had a couple of marigolds that had survived the flooding, and we decided to pop them in. At the end of this bed, we've got a beautiful arbor of royal maroon sweet peas, and they are just divine, and they are starting to flush up beautifully, but it does mean that this bed is at the moment blocked from morning sun, so it's really only getting what it gets through the roses and a little bit of afternoon sun. So it's a great place to pop in lettuce, especially at this sort of end of the bed. The front end of the bed is going to get a lot more sun than this particular patch, and all the lettuce, of course, had survived the flooding. Nothing else did. But so I thought I'll pop some of that in, and we'll just see how we go and see how it goes. Maybe this becomes over time a salad bed as the growth on the arbors shades out the growth in the bed, and that's fine because we tend to get torched in summer, and I really struggle to have salad greens in summer. So if we have a couple of more shaded beds, that's totally fine with me. At least we might actually get some spinach at some point or some lettuce. So I am looking forward to finally getting some greens. It's probably a side effect of all the rain we've had, but I've noticed that all of a sudden the beds desperately need more mulch. I have been trying to mulch less thickly coming into the warmer season because I think in years gone by I have mulched too heavily, and that has prevented the rain getting through. But we need to make our way around and sort out all the garden beds. This is a garden bed that has been neglected. So it has just been weed city, and even doing some weeding, I can't get it all out. So I just have to hope a thick layer of mulch will smother them. There's an echinacea and 4 pineapples in this bed. I did buy 1 pineapple from the store, but it died. These are all ones that I've grown from pineapple tops, and we have 1 more to add to it. So I very occasionally buy pineapples, and when I do, I try and get the ones with tops. You cut as much as you can off the top. And this one I've had sitting on the deck in a bowl of water all winter, and it dries out occasionally, and then I remember to put some water in it. But they're pretty hardy, and they take quite a while to root in and grow roots, but you can see the roots on the bottom of this stalk. And so all I'm going to do is stick this in the ground and let it slowly root in and try and keep it a little bit moist, although I've been terrible at watering lately because I'm so used to it raining that I forget that sometimes things dry out. But I just want to gradually make this a pineapple bed, just because homegrown pineapples are so much sweeter and juicier, and I find store-bought ones almost always go off straight away. The only trouble with this being a pineapple bed is it wasn't planned to be a pineapple bed. It's just that the pineapples are so stabby, I don't want to be in there dealing with anything else, and so it is going to become a pineapple bed. So next time I get a pineapple, I will do the same thing with the top and just chop it off and stick it in a bowl of water on the deck and neglect it for months, and then eventually get round to potting it up. I needed to also deal with the compost. The compost bins with the bricks on the top are full, and I'm just waiting for them to break down. I haven't turned them at all since we've moved them, and they desperately needed some aeration to help with the breakdown. We normally would have even fuller bins by now because all the green stuff that comes out of the garden that doesn't have seeds on it goes straight into the compost bins. But actually, I've just been giving everything to the chickens, and I guess they just turn it into nitrogen-rich poop, and it breaks down so much faster in the compost. So we will see if we have enough compost this year. We had a ton of autumn leaves, and hopefully it will break down. But all 4 bins are now full and actually just need to be left alone for a while. So one of the things I tried to do this afternoon was just set up a new compost area. The trouble is, as I was doing it, I discovered we have mallow growing all down the side of the fence as well. I don't know where this weed has come from, but it has invaded and it's turning up occasionally in some of the garden beds. And the trouble is, if it gets established, it has a deep taproot. I've sprayed it with vinegar before and it doesn't kill it. It just like grows back almost immediately. It's so annoying, even if you spray it every day for a couple of days. But hopefully, with a bit of weed mat down, some floor tile things and some cardboard on top, it will at least smother it out a bit. The last thing we needed to do was grab some of the cauliflowers, which have all of a sudden become massive. Some have separated, but at least they're looking amazing. And tomorrow I will cut the plants out and give them to the chickens and they can sort that out so I don't have to deal with the compost. But it's been a really good collie season, and so many of them are the green cauliflowers. I've never had success with them before. So now I'm just going to have to work out what I'm going to do with all of these cauliflowers. Hope you guys have enjoyed this quick video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.